It seems like despite Tom Brady retiring, the drama that's following him is not really ending. I mean, a month ago, Bruce Arians said that he'd be shocked if Tom Brady retires, saying that the way he was at practice Friday, I would be shocked if he didn't play next year. You know, they have that Friday quarterback challenge and he came flying out of the locker room, sprinting 2 or 3 fields away and couldn't wait to get into the challenge. He was like a little kid, I would be shocked. Well, now Bruce Arians is singing a different tune, saying that Tom Brady returning in 2022 would shock him. Well, according to an insider that I'm having trouble believing personally, it seems like Tom Brady wanted to leave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because of Bruce Arians. So before we get to the content, we are giving away a follower on my Instagram, $500 just for following me. Of course, make sure you drop a like, consider subscribing and turning on our notifications because we do giveaways for my channel subscribers as well. And now that we get all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, I'm gonna start this video by giving you a disclaimer. I do not trust the source that I'm about to bring to you guys, but a lot of you guys tagged me in this information, and whenever there's some of you guys that are believing it, I feel like it's my job to jump in and try to dissect whether or not it's true, tell you why I believe what I believe, and try to get you guys the truth to the best of my ability. Tell me if this individual sounds familiar to you. An individual by the name of Rich Ohrnberger. So according to Rich Ohrnberger, which let me know if he sounds familiar to you, we'll tell you why after his tweets. He said, heard some interesting things recently. The Tom Brady and Bruce Arians honeymoon was over in Tampa. The retirement announcement wasn't because of the trouble seeing eye to eye on the offensive game planning, but the relationship was souring. Here we go again, man. It's kind of interesting because Rich tweeted this out before he tweeted out what he said about Patrick Mahomes banning Jackson Mahomes and Brittany Matthews from coming to any of his games next year. Ohrnberger continues to say that apparently while Arians was rehabbing his Achilles in the early mornings, offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich and Brady would work on the week's game plan. Arians would later come in and take the red pen to work they'd done, and the quarterback and offensive coordinator felt undermined and there was a tension. So that's all we had to hear about it for now, and let me know if this sounds familiar. It seems like the narrative that Rich Ohrnberger's trying to create here is a very similar narrative to the one that resulted in Mike McCarthy's dismissal as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers just a few years ago, primarily because Aaron Rodgers felt like he was doing everything and Mike McCarthy's offensive game plan didn't really evolve. But I'll make this one commentary. In the very beginning, Bruce Arians wanted to run his offense. His offense doesn't typically have any pre-snap motion. He likes having wide receivers that have multiple options in his offense, and Tom Brady felt like he didn't have enough time to learn Bruce Arians' offense. So as a result, Tom Brady brought over his type of game plan and his play style from New England. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers ran a lot of that, and it resulted in the Super Bowl. Now, we didn't hear anything from Roddy Rich for quite some time, but the next day he would come out and say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers handling of the 3-time NFL MVP and the 7-time Super Bowl champion quarterback Tom Brady. Offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady were reportedly responsible for the entirety of the offensive game plan. Per my earlier report, head coach Bruce Arians would at times take red pen to that offensive plan. Figuratively speaking, of course, there were apparently major disagreements between Leftwich and Brady on strategy, especially regarding the run game. The tweet continues to say that at a certain point during the 2021 season, Brady successfully seized control of the offensive game plan, adjusting play calls he didn't believe would work. Additionally, there was a feeling of resentment inside the building towards Arians. While others worked around the clock in Tampa to build a winner, head coach Bruce Arians had a much lighter work schedule. ... Per multiple impregnable sources. So I know what you guys might be thinking, Mike, what does impregnable mean? Well, it means unable to capture or be broken into or unable to be defeated or destroyed. This sounds so similar to the video that we made on Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes reportedly not liking each other, only it's kind of an inverse where Andy Reid would create this beautiful game plan with Mike Kafka and Patrick Mahomes, and then Eric Bieniemy would come in and completely take red pen to that and change it all up, which resulted in Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy getting into a fight and disliking each other, which I told you I don't know how I feel about that report as well. But in this case, man, I'm going to start out by saying right off the bat, I am really skeptical of anything Rich Ohrnberger said, because already one of his reports were refuted by Patrick Mahomes, saying everything that this man said was made up. I mean, trust me, the entire internet was cheering. They were celebrating when they found out that there was a chance that Jackson Mahomes and Brittany Matthews would not be on the sidelines of football games next year. And when Patrick tweeted out, "You guys just be making up anything nowadays," I could say that we all collectively were disappointed. But what's really funny about this is a source that so far I haven't heard of like 2 months ago, but in regards to the Tom Brady retirement news, he was really good behind the scenes, is a man by the name of Rick Stroud. Now, Rick Stroud works for the Tampa Bay Times, and so far, I really do trust this guy. He has yet to tell me something that is incorrect. And he quote tweeted this saying, "Impregnable. Couple things, Rich. Spent 2 years every day with Tom Brady, Byron Leftwich, and BA. Arians took the job on the condition of not game planning. There was no figurative red pen. It was always Leftwich and Brady, and it was collaborative. They have had a top 2 and 3 offense. The 2 years Brady played here, he led the NFL in passing and TDs. If it's news to you that Arians relies on his coaching staff at age 69 and doesn't game plan, then you're late to the party. They worked out some things during the bye week a year ago and won a Super Bowl," which is very important to note because I've tried to make this a focal point in my videos a lot. I don't know if you guys remember, but towards the beginning of the Tom Brady Tampa Bay Buccaneers union, there was some difficulty, and it didn't look like it was a marriage that was going to last very long. I made a video on this in particular. The offensive game plan wasn't suited to Tom Brady's strengths, and there was a meeting during the bye week in order to change the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ran their offense so Tom Brady could, well, be Tom Brady, and as a result, they won a Super Bowl. So I agree with Rick Stroud here. Just like any new team or any new union of a team, there was road bumps that Tom Brady and BA went through, and ultimately they resolved it. Now, Rick Stroud continues to say that the injury sustained in 2021 was the biggest factor, especially at right tackle. The narrative that there was some rift between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians isn't buttressed by any players or assistants we've talked to for 2 seasons, including those closest to Brady. The much lighter work schedule is by design. He's not getting in at 3:30 a.m. to do practice scripts. That's the job of Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles. 29 wins in 2 seasons, 5-1 playoff record, Super Bowl, NFC South title. Hard to imagine a better run for Brady. So it's important to note that Bruce Arians wasn't available to be hired originally. He originally retired from his job with the Arizona Cardinals once their championship window had been shut in order to focus more on his health. And when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers approached him about potentially coming back, there had to be specific contingencies in place to allow the 69-year-old Bruce Arians to be able to continue coaching without taking on too much of a workload that could stress him out and potentially harm his health. So the fact that Rich Ohrnberger is actually weaponizing this as a reason why people would resent Bruce Arians, in my opinion, is a little low. And it seems like Rick Stroud agrees with that when he says that the much lighter work schedule is by design. But I'll tell you what this does do. It makes Byron Leftwich seem like a significantly more attractive head coaching option in the future, and I think he's starting to realize this himself as well. Originally, I was kind of on the fence about Byron Leftwich because I was thinking how much is his success tied to Tom Brady, but knowing that he went in and was constructing these game plans with Tom Brady definitely seems like an attractive option moving forward for any team that approaches him with the right job. I think this Rich Ohrnberger guy is about to start like a podcast or something, and just like a lot of the themes of our latest content, these people like to come out and drum up fake news and get the fake news to trend just so other individuals can know who they are, unfortunately. I will say this though, I do think there is a possibility that Tom Brady comes back. If I had to guess, I don't think he'd come back and play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, primarily because because of their cap situation. I heard a rumor that Tom Brady would potentially be interested in playing for the San Francisco 49ers. This is one of those things that I really can't predict what happens. There are things that are really easy to predict that just make sense to me. Like Aaron Rodgers joining the Denver Broncos makes a lot of sense to me. Tom Brady choosing to stay retired makes a lot of sense to me. Tom Brady being an ultra competitive individual that wants to come back and play football for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers makes sense to me as well. But Tom Brady also wanting to leave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and play on another team that is close to his hometown that he grew up a fan of makes a lot of sense to me as well. So it's really hard for me to say definitively what is going to happen next because any of those options seem plausible to me. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think is the most reasonable? What do you think is going to happen to Tom Brady next? Do you believe what Rich Ornberger is saying? Because I really do not. I mean, I'm going to take Rick Stroud's side here every time. He's been so legitimate with his reports, and that seems to be what's the truth. But I had to get this video out to you guys. There's some people actually believing that Tom Brady and Bruce Arians hate each other, and I couldn't let that happen. Aside from that, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram so I could get a blue check mark and get you guys real news that you could trust and not this fake garbage. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.